since he's been an advocate of Diablo 4 for a very long time, and now he seems to be, like he said, heartbroken. I'm very curious to know what he says. So let's watch this.
Hi everyone, it's Raxx. I woke up this morning and had every intention of playing Diablo 4 Season 9. I've never missed a Diablo 4 start before.
Yep.
And as I was sitting there ready to firing up, thinking about it, I realized that Diablo 4, it's no secret, has not been super fun to me lately. This season doesn't seem to change a whole lot.
Oh, you're not the only one, bro. You're totally not the only one, man.
And I found myself actually being pretty sad. Pretty sad because, I think if you took the entire landscape of anybody who plays Diablo, I'm someone who's pretty far up there as being one of its biggest fans, not just from the nostalgia, but I, started my streaming career and content creation career off of covering the Diablo games. So it's not even just about the money or the views, the clicks or anything like that. It used to be one of my very favorite franchises.
Yeah, same. And Diablo is the main reason why I wanted to start streaming. I started with a friend who suggested me that I should start streaming because I always have things to say about everything. Everybody that follows me quite a bit already knows that I always have something to say about everything all the time. But this time I just feel like everybody's feeling the same about the game.
And so I thought, another thing is when I do stream these games, and rightfully so, I'm not criticizing my audience for this, and also I play into it as well. It turns into a giant ball of negativity.
Yep.
Of everyone just cracking jokes about powers and we hear you, and I get it. It's the reality. So it's honestly not even so much of a joke anymore. But I thought what I would do instead is,
to be fair, it's not even a joke anymore. It's been a few seasons that it's not a joke anymore. It's like the feeling he's got at the moment is the same feeling I got for quite a long time. Every season that they changed the fundamentals of the game, like when they did the Loot Reborn, I felt like that was a step forward to greatness. And when they did the itemization update, I felt again that it was a step forward to make the game better. But since they did this, the first season they did after the itemization, they gave the excuse like, oh, we did a lot of changes in the past 2 seasons, so this season is going to be shorter because we have less content, we have less time to work on the content, and now we have less to offer you. But don't worry, it's going to be fixed after. And since the exact season after season 6, so season 7, every season is the same exact season with the same exact goal, with the same exact concept, just with another color on top of it. And it's so annoying because they basically, I think they're gaslighting us, man. And that's how I feel about them, man.
I would make a very heart-to-heart video, not even for the fans or for the viewers, but this is a video that I would send to Blizzard, and I'm not gonna use any curse words. I'm not gonna drive the stake through their heart, but I am gonna be brutally honest about the things that I think are going wrong or have gone wrong with Diablo 4.
No, put that stake in their hearts, man. We don't care. We're the fans, we're the players. We want the game to be good. We've been brutally honest since the beginning, and every single time they basically tell us we're listening to you, we're gonna fix it, and nothing is happening. So I think now is the time to put that stake in their hearts and make them understand that the fan base is sick of it. Especially when they're trying to make us believe that, oh, players don't want that, players want it faster or not faster. I don't know. What we want is basically the sense of progression that has been gone for the past 6 months. Even before the DLC. Even now, last season, the reason why I stopped playing after maybe, 10 hours, I see a next page. Oh yeah, it's because my webcam is on top of it. Let me fix this. Now it's going to be better. But yeah, since even before the DLC, all those issues were there. And that's what I was saying. Since the DLC, why every season I stopped playing kind of quickly It's not only because the season powers are the main theme, because yeah, that's a problem, but that's not the problem. It is a problem. The problem is like most of the bugs that came with the DLC are still there to this day. I reported those bugs every single PTR. The last PTR that happened like 3 weeks ago is the only PTR I didn't play because I didn't care. I cared so much about the franchise. I cared so much about that game that I wanted to involve myself and invest time and energy, putting all my criticism and all my feedback online on my YouTube channel, on X, on Reddit, on basically everywhere that you could post basically your feedback. That nothing changed. It didn't happen. Nothing changes at all. Either they don't care or they just putting like all their resources somewhere else that is basically useless because it's not going to make the game better. If you change something about a game, if it doesn't add to the game and improve the experience, it is a waste of resources and a waste of time.
And I saw this tweet from Adam Fletcher after the last campfire. And it says, I haven't been present as much. I have a lot of items behind the scenes that he's managing, but within those are big plans. Just know that your war cries of wanting more change aren't going unnoticed. The team has been cooking on some of the biggest changes that really hit home on things that people have been asking for and more. We will share more as we get closer. Love you all. Okay. So a lot of people are immediately going to roll their eyes at this and say cringe. This is what they always say. This is just we hear you again.
Yep.
Blizzard has lost you forever. Fine. I like Adam. I met him in Seattle. I like a lot of the people on the Diablo 4 team as people. I cannot identify for you what the exact problem is. People say it's not the developers, it's the people higher up. It's they don't have any talent anymore. It's their direction has changed a million times. I've heard every theory.
That is true. The direction changed a few times. Now every OG developers are gone from the team. There is almost no people that worked on the Diablo entry anymore to this day. So yeah, that is probably one of the reasons why it's getting downhill. There's a difference between like most of the time when things comes from higher up is for making money, right? But I just feel like nothing is improving. Nothing is going on. No new things, nothing. Are they just putting all the resources on the next DLC that is coming up and that's why they're not developing any season new stuff anymore? I don't know. We don't know. We can just assume things, but that's how I feel about it.
Under the sun 1,000 times. I'll be honest with you, I don't really care what the reason is. I just
Exactly.
want it to be fixed.
We don't care.
We're gonna go into paint and we're gonna dive into some of the core issues here, and I'm just gonna be brutally honest here. Real quick, one of my sponsors, Crimson Market, been doing this for 2 years, has a beautiful PC, custom PC that they built that we're drawing on Saturday. If you want to win
golden
this
pipes.
Beautiful PC, you can win it for free. Link will be down below. Use the golden ticket. Literally says free with the golden ticket right here if you've never entered these sweepstakes before. Worldwide delivery. Someone won in China, couldn't deliver it. They put the computer on a plane next to them, flew to China, and hand delivered it to him. The video and the pictures are on Discord.
If you want to do a brand new PC, just go ahead. Let's go.
Okay. Now, here we go. It's time to use paint. And let's talk about Diablo 4.
Okay.
So in ARPGs, the thing that probably hooks me the most, and I'm just gonna talk to you from me. Like, I've spent a lot of time trying to speak for the people. You want to know who I can speak for with 100% certainty? Me. So I'm gonna speak for me, and if you guys agree with it, awesome. Thumbs up it. If you don't agree with it, you can thumbs down me. You can post on forums and talk shit about me.
I really don't agree. Nah, that's not true. I'm just joking.
Or you could, make a constructive comment and say what you don't like. But I'm going to speak for me here. So if I'm talking to Blizzard, the main reason why I keep playing these games is for dopamine. I want, whenever a super god rare item or rune drops on the ground, to feel like $1 million. It is not an exaggeration to tell you, I never have this feeling in Diablo 4. Like, practically never.
Yes, and I'm gonna speak for me, and the main reason is that every single rare items in the game are easy to get now, since season I think 4 or 5. since they basically implemented the fact that you can craft mythic uniques, and I've been repeating this since that time, mythic items are not mythic if you can craft them, because they're like the definition of mythic, it is something of legend. It is something that it's mythical. It's like the Loch Ness. It is a mythic being. You don't know if it exists or not. Just the fact that you can tell, like in Diablo 2, I'm going to get back to Diablo 2, like every single time I'm criticizing the game, I get back to Diablo 2. They are runes that if you're not on the proper level and you're not on the proper difficulty, the chance of dropping is 0.05%. It's extremely low. This is not happening in Diablo 4. It's non-existent. Every single legendary item in the game are extremely easy to get. The fact that you can also record them in the book, they fixed the problem of finding them all with this thing, but now they make it so easy to find that it's basically useless to record them anymore, because at the same time, it's like, you already get it. So it's like, I don't know. They just like, they put some weight on a scale, it goes up, and then when it's balanced, they just put something that just takes it out of whack all the time. Every single time they fix something, they break something else. I don't know how they do this, but that's what's happening.
It just doesn't happen. So then I asked myself, what is supposed to be the dopamine in Diablo 4? Well,
finding Ethereal's Might after 700 runs. Okay, I'm exaggerating. Maybe not 700, but that is a dopamine rush. When you finally find the mythic unique, it is not normal that you can just do 6-7 runs and you already find 4 or 5, even with a bunch of people. This is not supposed to happen. Like I said earlier in the stream, in my stash, I have like 6 or 7 Ethereal's Might. I have 4 Harlequin quests. I have like, I don't know, let's Starless Skies. I don't know, maybe I have 5 or 6. That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be that easy to get those items. Those items should be rare. They should be, people should hunt for them. Not just, okay, I know where to get it, so I'm just going to do this. Like, do you get what I mean?
You could argue it's getting a mythic unique. But
okay,
getting a mythic unique,
that's my point.
It's very, very easy.
Exactly.
Because you can craft one, whichever one you want yourself.
That's exactly my point since the beginning. Since they implemented the crafting, that should have never been implemented in the game. That should not be in the game. Take this away. Definitely. Take the mythic crafting away.
And you can just do the boss ladder and they will drop. You'll get them. It's just brute force doing kind of a tedious task. I know you guys have iterated on this and tried to make it better. Like I'm not ignoring that. But other than that, like, what is it? Finding a 3 or a 4 greater affix legendary, or an ancestral unique. Like, I get it. Like, from where Diablo started, you're trying to implement the dopamine. Like, it's been attempted to be put in there, but it doesn't feel like that for me. That compared to dropping a bear rune or a jaw rune or an arachnid mesh or anything like that in Diablo 2 is not comparable at all.
Exactly. That are my arguments since the beginning. He's saying exactly what I've been saying for almost a year. I've been repeating this. Most people told me I was crazy. People told me I didn't know what I was talking about. The game was fun. People told me that I was negative. People told me that I didn't know better. There you go. That's exactly how I feel since a year. And now he's getting it. I actually agree with everything he's saying so far.
In any way, for me, the thing that I really need you to do is come up with a system where there are some god tier items that actually just you're playing the game and you're not quite sure if it will drop, but man, if it does, it just completely transforms your experience. I actually think
that was the purpose of the mythics, and that was the purpose of the uniques. But now the uniques are dropping so casually, the legendaries are dropping so casually that nothing is changing enough to make a difference. Like, example, if like the item that makes your twisters with the barbarian multiply 10 times, whatever, if that item was rare and you found it, it's like, holy shit, now I can cast like all those twisters, right? But now it's dropping so casually, everybody's got them. Mythics are not mythics, legendaries are not legendaries, and uniques are not uniques at all. They don't feel like this. They don't feel like this at all. The powers they bring to your character, though, they feel unique. They feel legendary. And I agree with this. But the amount of them that you actually get is ridiculous. To be fair, what would fix the legendaries is to make the power with only one level, not 20 of them. I don't know why you have to find them like 700 times to get them. They should be leveled of difficulty locked, and they should be extremely rare to find. And when you find them, finally I get it. I wanted this one. But the problem is they implemented so many of them that if they made them rare, the chance that you get the one that you need will be extremely low because they add too much. They added too much of them. There's way too many legendaries in the game, way too many uniques, and instead of like bringing them a little by a little by a little, almost every season they add like 6, 7, 9, 10 of them, like all the time. So basically the game is just flooded with all those legendaries and all those uniques, and you can't make them that rare because the amount of the chances that you're going to get the one that you need for your character is going to be extremely slim. Like they should narrow everything like they did with the damage, like they did with the itemization, what they did like with everything. Narrow it down, make it more rare, make it more difficult to get. That's going to fix a bunch of problems just by doing this. But they will need to rebalance the things to maybe like, give us less legendaries but make them more relevant. I don't know. There should be a way to fix this.
I think you had a better system on the launch of the game, just with a very bad implementation. The idea that these super rare mythic uniques exist. Now, granted, the mythic uniques had like these huge rolls on them, like 50 to 100, and they were like 1 in a billion chance to drop. That like it can't be that I have to play 10,000 years. That was like actually a figure. You have to play 10,000 years to get one drop. Like it can't be that rare. But like if you're blasting for multiple seasons, maybe you find one kind of rare. Makes a lot more sense.
Yes, exactly.
I was initially going to do this whole thing where, oh, I'll just play until I get one of these uber uniques just to see if I can get one. But then I did the math on it, and I'm actually never going to get one. So the dopamine is not there for me in the items at all. It's one of the main reasons why I play ARPGs.
Yep, exactly.
Let's talk about the characters in combination with the skill tree, in combination with the Paragon board.
I'm going to give my take right away before he gives his, because I don't want to be influenced by what he's saying. What's missing from the skill tree for me? It's not that the skill tree is linear. That is actually a problem. But at the same time, it is not, because like Path of Exile is still linear because you start by where you need to go, whatever. This is for the passive tree. But what's missing from that game is synergies. Synergies between skills. Let me explain. In Diablo 2, I'm going to give the Sorcerer as an example. Those points you put in those skills are also boosting the skills that are later in the tree, and vice versa. If you put points in the later skills, it's going to boost up also the basic skills. So it is possible to have a very powerful build with the basic skills, which is not happening in Diablo 4. Example, Frozen Orb. The Frozen Orbs in Diablo 2 have a specific mechanic that then when they blow up, they actually cast a bunch of ice spikes. And ice spike is actually the first skill for the ice sorcerer. So every single point that you put in the ice spike are also gonna boost the ice spikes of the Frozen Orb. That is interesting, because you can make your Frozen Orb less or more powerful depending on the amount of points that you put in those skills. That is actually not happening in Diablo 4. Ever. And also, all the passives and the skills are in the same tree. You cannot choose which stat you can boost. You cannot choose, like, example, if you want a barbarian to be more magic-oriented, right? You can have an item that gives you some spells that you shouldn't have with your class, and you can put points into mana. You can put points into vitality. You can put points into strength, into dexterity. Now, since Diablo 3, they level up automatically. You cannot choose. Like, every single class has its own specific skill that's gonna increase as like a fixed amount by level, and you have no control over it at all. At all. I actually don't really like this. Like, if it was like Path of Exile, that it does boost itself every single level, but you can still add points towards them in the tree. So you're basically still putting points into your stats at some point. And you can even, in Path of Exile 2, that's the good thing about that, you can choose which stat you're raising with the point that you put into the stat boosting node, right? And this is not something that is happening in Diablo 4.
With theory crafting a build and the crafting in the game. I guess let me start with the last part. Let's go with the crafting. When I actually started thinking
Crafting
about
sucks.
it, crafting has actually never really been a big part of the Diablo franchise.
Nope.
So I can't needle you too hard for this.
Well, depends. If you consider crafting as a mechanic in the game with the cube in Diablo 2, you can actually craft specific items with the rune words. And that was a very interesting part of the Diablo 2, is you can craft unique items that are specific with the rune words. But now the rune words are not used to make runed items. You have one rune to get some mana, we're going to say rune mana, and you have a rune effect. And they always come in parts of 2. So there's no rune words, actually. You cannot craft items with those runes. You can just add effects. And the effects are like, most of the time, it just suck. I would have so much preferred that you would have unique items that are actually improving something in the game. And also the mercenaries. The mercenaries, the mechanics of the mercenaries in Diablo 4, I don't really like it. I wish it was more like Diablo 2 or the new mercenaries expansion with Path of Exile 1. I love it. The new mechanic for the mercenaries is extremely great. It's good. It's efficient. It is simple. It does what it has to do, basically.
Because the Diablo 2 succeeded without too much crafting. You just have the Herodric Cube. It doesn't do that much. You put some runes in an order, and then it makes an item. That's pretty basic here. But the crafting systems that we currently have, the tempering and the masterworking and the re-rolling a single stat, that doesn't feel very good to me compared to some of the other systems that we have in other ARPG twits. I'm going to try my best to not bring them into this discussion. I want to talk about Diablo 4 in a
Yeah, but at the same time, crafting is part of the game. And yes, when you have a limited amount of rolls on things, it feels bad, especially when you break your item. And even though you give us scrolls with some events or some whatever that can drop to reroll those, it still feels bad. Because if you break your item, it's bricked. And like I said, in other ARPGs, when you break your item, most of the time it is your fault. Because you make a choice, right? But the thing is, in Diablo 4, you have no control whatsoever. No control. Ever. If you break an item in Diablo 4, in Diablo 2, it's because you did your rune word wrong. You added a gem in it that you couldn't, and there was still a way to unbrick it with the cube. There was so many ways to fix this. Also, in Path of Exile 2, when you add affixes to your item, example with an exalt, you add things to your item that was already there. If you choose to use a chaos orb on your item, it's because most of the affixes on your item didn't suit your needs. So even though you use all your exalts or your chaos orbs, you can still find more of them in the wild, and you can try again. Not in Diablo 4. Diablo 4 feels extremely bad because of this, because it's basically almost 100% RNG. You cannot narrow down what you want to change, or change everything if you want to. It's always one thing, and it's always random. And that sucks.
Vacuum here. But the other crafting systems that other games are making are actually taking it far beyond just these really basic and sometimes infuriating systems that we currently have. I think it really needs to change. I think this is one of those things where you've got to sit down and see what ideas the team has and try to implement a real crafting system into Diablo 4.
Exactly.
That's fun and engaging to you.
I prefer the masterworking to the tempering. For me, the tempering is the bad one. I was so frustrated every single time I tempered my items, all the time. Masterworking was less an issue because most of the time when you temper your when you masterwork your item, you already have the affixes you want on it. So even though the one that's boosted after like a few like after the four notch, it's not a big deal. It would have felt better if it was the one you wanted, but at least you already have what you want on your item most of the time. When you masterwork an item, you already have what you want on it, right? But the tempering, since it's something that you add to your item, and the things that you want are specific and it's always random. If, for example, you reroll like, I don't know, like 3 times and you never get the one that you want and it's bricked, I think now they raise it to 5, but whatever. You see what I mean? It still feels bad because you can't just do it again as long as you have those items. Like you can find more exalts, you can find more chaos, you can find more, like example in the Path of Exile 1, you have the scouring, the scouring orb that removes all the affixes to your item and you can try again. It's like, there's so many ways to upgrade your items and to change what you don't like. But in this one, you can't. And once it's bricked and you don't have those reroll scrolls, you're screwed. And that doesn't feel good.
Use the characters with the skill tree, with the Paragon board, essentially lead to almost no theory crafting.
Exactly.
The example that I love to give is
everybody's going to do the same thing all the time.
A bunch of people. If you took me and Rob and Woody and Macro and Boiler and Snail and everybody else, you took us all and you gave us some random class and some random archetype. You gave us a sorcerer with Fireball. You had us theory craft an endgame character.
Every single class that you're going to give to whatever is going to end up with the same exact build because it's the only build that is actually efficient and does the amount of damage that you want. And that feels bad because every single type of build should be able to be efficient and give the high amount of damage. If you want to theory craft, do whatever you want. And you should still have a build at the end that is going to be efficient and work well. But that's not the case. Everybody's going to end up with the specific build for that season, the specific build for that class, the specific, like, every single season. How many other RPGs you see, oh, this season, it's that build? Now, most of the seasons, like most of the ARPGs, when the season starts and you have, like, articles about the season, is like, oh, that class feels bad. That one. Like, you have one that feels bad, but everything else is good. That's what happens most of the time, but not Diablo. It's the other way around. Everything feels like shit except for one thing.
Think about the pieces there. Well, when you're buffing up Fireball, we already know you have choice A or choice B.
Yep.
And then in the Paragon board, you're locked to like 5 boards. So we just got to calculate, which of the 5 boards gives us the most damage is usually what you're going for.
Exactly.
And then the key passive should be pretty obvious. Maybe there's 1 or 2 on which one that you pick. Like, you see where I'm going with this? And then there's like the Fireball staff. And there's like the Fireball gloves. The idea here is if you gave us 1 hour each to theory craft this build, it would be nearly identical.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said.
There aren't pieces there within your systems to actually theory craft something different. And I would consider this a major flaw of the game. Blizzard.
And the reason is like what I said about the items. It's because they added so many things, but they don't bring anything. They have so many items, so many legendaries, so many uniques, but none of them actually do shit. It's only like that specific one, that specific legendary, that specific unique, that specific mythic that is actually going to add to your build, and that's it. Nothing else.
It has like explicitly said this or behind closed doors, that they want to make Diablo 4 very accessible, even for people that don't know ARPGs. So when you make this kind of straight linear path of how you build essentially like the correct version of the Fireball Sorcerer, you have killed a lot of the creativity, a lot of the things that a lot of the people love to do to make these crazy melee builds that are supposed to be caster builds, but the melee version actually works very well. I need you to build at least pieces of these systems that allow for creativity, that allow for expansion, that allow for ideas here. because there aren't very many ideas that we can do with the pieces in Diablo 4. It makes the game stale, it makes the game repetitive. What's the
Exactly.
difference between if you had played Fireball 4 seasons ago and if you play it now? Maybe you added one unique for that archetype, and that's it. This is the problem and why the game gets so stale.
And also, like I said, even if they added more items for that specific build, I'm pretty sure that the effect that it's going to add would be so little that almost nobody was still going to play it, because they will still have one build that is on top of everything else, and everybody's going to end up playing that exact build. I agree 100% of what he's saying, but at the same time, I don't think that they would actually know what to implement to make those builds viable in long term.
For the end game, the problem with the end game, someone said this on the last campfire chat and everyone started laughing. He said, I missed most of the campfire. What color is the Helltide this season? And it's funny, it's a good joke, but it's also kind of what happens. It's always just, hey, corruption has taken over this zone. There's spots of this zone with a circle with an event. It's always the same thing.
Yep.
What ideas do you guys have?
Vampire tides, hell tides, witch tides, chaos tides, whatever. It's all tides. It's all the same thing. Last season, when they added the witch tides, I read in the patch notes the blood harvest, the vampire tides, right? The blood harvest word, blood harvest in the patch notes. So I thought that now you would have the blood harvest where the vampires would rise, and the hell tides where the corruption of Lilith will rise, right? But it was not in the game. So I don't know. They made a mistake. They wrote Blood Harvest for some reason. I don't even know why they did put that, because that was season 2. It's like a year and a half ago. They still wrote this in the patch notes. And also, I'm going to address this right away since he's talking about the Helltides. There's so many endgame mechanics that should be implemented during the campaign. And I did say this every single season since. Why everything is locked behind a 40-hour campaign? I say the 40-hour now because they added the DLC, right? It was like maybe like 25, maybe 30, 35 hours, whatever. It doesn't make sense that the Helltides, which is the corruption of Lilith, appears only after she's dead. You killed her. Those corruptions should disappear, actually. Or maybe they should stay there because they were already there and Mephisto is still there, so that would actually make that work, right? But I feel like every single season mechanics, every single endgame mechanics, endgame activities, nightmare dungeons, everything should be implemented progressively through the campaign to make the campaign, first of all, more content, because people will play again the campaign. The campaign, actually, the story is very good. I love the campaign, but I get bored of it just because I have to do it to have the mechanics. To reach the endgame mechanics, I have to complete it. That's not the case with Path of Exile. Every single season mechanics are implemented during the campaign. Yes, you have an endgame, which is the map system, and it's after the campaign, but everything else is during the campaign. You can do everything else during the campaign. Why isn't it the case for Diablo? Also, like I played earlier today, and that's why I stopped to watch this video, because there was so much lag. Give us the freaking offline. Give us the offline. I don't want my game to lag in town because there's 70 people. I don't want to have to click on the blacksmith 600 times to actually talk to him because there's too many people in front of him. I don't want to go in the wild and level up 7 times under 2 minutes because people are just killing stuff around me. That's not normal. This shouldn't happen. I don't have fun. Like, leveling up should be fun. That's another thing that I don't have the dopamine anymore. I can level up 7, 10, 12, 15 times before I actually put my points in it. That's not normal. It shouldn't happen.
I would love to see you guys do very, very different things. And I think maybe you feel like your hand got caught in the cookie jar here, because a lot of the things that you have tried, people have really not liked. The Gauntlet, people didn't really like that. The Abattoir of Zir, people didn't really like that. And I understand how, like, after doing that a couple of times, you're like, let's just go with sherbet, orange sherbet Helltide this time and we'll be fine. But we can't go that way. We
Nope.
need to see what you guys can actually come up with that is more than just corruption and a new kind of monster, and there's an event that gives you a resource that you spend at a vendor with 20 rank. I mean, it's always the same thing. This ties directly into the seasons. This is probably the thing that's the most self-explanatory. Every season is powers. Powers, I would imagine, as a game developer, I don't develop games, but I would imagine as a game developer has got to be like the easiest, quick, slap it into the game as a season thing that you could possibly do. Okay, well,
Like I said, that was a good excuse the first time because they didn't have much time to figure out what to do with the season because of all the changes that they did of the root game, the itemization, the loot reborn, like everything they changed fundamentally in the game. For the first season or two, I do get that, but now we're like almost like itemization, loot reborn was in June last year. It's been a year. You can't give me that excuse after a year, man. It's like they're not developing another game on the side like Path of Exile 2, and that's why the season took 6 months to come by, right? That's not the way. You're not going to convince us that you have the players and the game at heart if you're always giving us the same excuse all the time.
Let's give them this explosion, or oh, we have all these bosses that do these attacks. We have all those attacks coded. Let's just put that attack into a gem, tune the numbers, and we have ourselves a season.
Exactly. It feels like a mobile game. They just click and drag some things. They change the name, they change the color, and that's it. That's what they're doing with those seasons.
Like, I don't know how big of a team you guys have. I don't know what the budget is. I don't know how the structure is, but I mean, you guys have. The internet has been roasting you pretty hard for Powers, Austin Powers, da 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 da.
Or yeah, baby.
The seasons they've got to be different. They've got to be different ideas. They've got to be different ways of playing the game to really hook people in. I would be absolutely shocked if any demographic out there, the casuals, the blasters, anything in between, is enticed to come in for another season of Powers. You've got to do something different every single time, otherwise it gets stale.
Exactly. How is it that the first seasons were all different? You have the corruption hearts for the first season, then you had the blood harvest with the vampires, with the vampire powers. Then you got the construct, which is like a pet that you can like upgrade on the side, like some kind of mercenary that you could upgrade. Even though it was the worst season in the early seasons, it was still way more interesting than when we get now. Like, how did you lose this? Just because of the loot reborn and the itemization? You did two things and now you're just lost and you don't know what to do anymore? How does that happen?
One very common complaint, which I think is extremely valid, is the content in the game versus paid updates. Like, we're expecting in the expansion, and I get it, the Diablo 4 is a for-profit company. And I just saw this is no laughing matter here, but I just saw that Microsoft just posted that there's tons of layoffs coming, and even for the gaming department. I'm not sure if anyone on the Diablo 4 team will be affected, but it's never a joke when people are losing their jobs.
Yep.
So it sounds like, I mean, hearing that, hopefully it's unaffected, but it sounds like if anything, we're going to be losing people working on the game, and the bottom line for all these companies is it's always about money.
Yes, exactly. It's all about money, but the thing is, if you put out content that people want to play and want to pay for it, you're going to make money. But now the thing is, this is not a free-to-play game. This is a game that you need to pay for the game, first of all. And like here in Canada, I paid $150 Canadian to get that game when it released 2 years ago. I paid for the DLC, and still when I open the game, the first thing that pops out is a splash screen with the shop. I already paid you guys. Why are you flooding me with freaking ads for your shop? That doesn't want to make me pay for your stuff. It's just annoying. It's like telling me, basically, it's just how you already paid for the game, but please give us more money. Hey, there's a new thing. Please go to the shop and give us more money. No. That's exactly the opposite. It doesn't make me want to pay for your shit. It's even worse. It feels even worse.
but the level of trickled in content that we're getting in between the expansions is is really not enough. And
It's
it's
minimal.
not even that. It's not even just the content that you're trickling in. It's also the content that people just expect to be in the game that isn't in the game. Diablo is not in the game, and I'm sure the plan is and when Mephisto came out in the expansion, it was like split into multiple arcs, so it could be sold as separate expansions. Like it was like you took this story of like the primevals and you divided it up in as many slices as you possibly could, and now you're going to spoon feed it into to us over the expansions.
Yeah, but even this is not enough because the first expansion is not even complete. Like, when you usually have a DLC for a game, the story arc does conclude at some point. You have a conclusion to it, and everything else is added to the story, right? But the way they did the DLC this time, the story is not even over. And you know there's going to be another DLC because it ends up on a cliffhanger. We're not watching a TV series that has been like renewed for 4 seasons. We're playing a game. We want the game to conclude. We want to have the feeling of accomplishment that we did end the quest. Yes, of course, there's going to be something else that's coming up, right? Like every game, it's a DLC, right? So a new quest is going to come up. But we didn't even have the feeling of accomplishment that came with the DLC because we didn't feel like we actually completed it. It came incomplete on purpose to make you buy the next one. And that is so insulting to your player base, man.
We don't have the cow level. We don't have leaderboards or the ladder. Didn't you guys invent the ladder? I mean, I don't know my history here, but in ARPGs, didn't you invent the race to 99
Yes.
on Battle? Didn't you invent it? And then leaderboards are part of the, I think if I saw it correctly on the roadmap that you released, it's part of the expansion, the second expansion even. You guys invented it. It was you. What happened? No Diablo, no cow level. The Mephisto thing is behind a paywall and
But for the Diablo, I do understand because they probably already have the storyboard laid out, and it's probably going to be one of the last bosses that's going to come up, like in a further expansion or whatever. Like I do understand that, but like I said, it's like there's no feeling of completion at all.
and we fought Mephisto's dog, etc. You get the idea.
Yep.
And Diablo 4, in a lot of ways, it's starting to feel to me like Diablo 4 is feeling like Diablo Immortal. It feels like a mega cash grab, and that feels very bad.
Yeah, like I said, like a mobile game. Like that's how the powers feel. Like every time they just stick around the same thing and they just put a coat of paint on it, feels like a mobile game idea. Everything feels like a mobile game. They splash, they flood us with the shop. They flood us with the cosmetics. They want us to pay them even more, even though we paid for the game. Like that's so many things that are like so annoying, man.
I think you get the idea there. The balance and the bugs. You want to know? People always ask me about how are they going to balance this or that. Everything is crazy. It's always the same thing every season. I think Blizzard, I'm going to invent a new challenge, right? There was the ice bucket challenge. There was the Tide Pod challenge where people were eating laundry detergent. I don't understand that, but I have a new challenge. It's called the 1 million challenge. I think that the Diablo 4 team needs to do a gigantic pass, and I know we've been redoing all the different systems. I need you to do a gigantic pass on every single skill, every combination, all the mythic uniques on all the characters. And I don't want a single skill to do more than 1 million damage.
Oh
And
yes, man.
the idea behind that, like whether it's a balance thing or a bug thing, it's got to pass both tests. And the idea behind that is if you could get it somewhere around that level, then you could attempt to balance the game. Every single
Exactly. It's so hard to balance a game when you always have one skill that does billions of damage. Like you shrank all the numbers to a point that it's very minimal every time you upgrade your items, but there's a threshold at some point that you do like from 1,000 damage to 1,000,000 damage to 100 million damage to billions of damage. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Cool game. It's like you're on a waterbed, or you're like in the lazy river in Oceans of Fun. We're going up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. But Blizzard, you can't balance anything when there are skills that hit with like 3 extra zeros at the end of their attack versus other skills. It's impossible. How do you balance anything like that? So I have the 1 million challenge where nothing hits for harder than 1,000,000, and then you could like balance the game. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And yeah, like I would double down on this, like even 100,000. Like, to be fair, if you cannot even read the number on the screen, there's a problem. I just deactivate the numbers anyways, because like every single time that you do an attack, there's like 15 numbers at the same time that pops out. Like, I don't want to read this, man. It's just covering the screen. It's just screen clutter. It doesn't make sense. If the maximum attack that you have on your character is 50,000 with the crits and all, it shouldn't like go above 100,000. Like, to be fair, like twice the damage, maybe 200 times the damage doesn't make sense, man. Doesn't make sense.
I don't want to hit for trillions,
Yeah.
billions, quadrillions, literally the infinite symbol in one of Rob's videos. And then
Did
so
that
many things
Did that happen? The infinite symbol? I don't know if it's just a metaphor or if actually happened. I wouldn't doubt it would happen.
are plagued with bugs, game-breaking bugs that last for season after season after season. Number one example, Bulwark Druid. How long did Bulwark Druid? How many from release to the preseason 1 and season 1 and season 2? Which season did it get fixed in? We'd have to ask Boiler. Like stuff like that. Man, please. We need a serious pass at how much damage we're all doing. You kind of did something this season where you crucified overpower, said overpower is overpowered. You changed the formula. It's like way worse now. And a lot of people were complaining. I was sitting there, I was like, I can't believe you guys are complaining. This is step 1 of 50 toward our 1 million challenge to where we can actually balance the game. And then
He's right.
The final thing, the target audience. And this goes back to something that we talked about earlier. I understand that everything is about money. And I understand that the way that you make money is you sell copies of Diablo 4, and then you sell battle passes and you sell cosmetics in the shop. And I understand that one of the best ways to do that is with new player acquisition. And then with new player acquisition, the thing that gets them hooked in playing is being able to play the game, have it being very simple, and having it, everything be smooth sailing.
Yeah, but the thing is, it cannot be by hindering player retention. And the thing is, like, most of the players that told me I was crazy about all the negative criticism I gave to the game, right now they're not even playing. They played for 1 day and they already gone. They don't care anymore. They're already gone. They played for like 5 hours and they stopped playing. Why? Because it's the same thing as last season. How can you be hyped if everything is the same? And the only thing that you're like putting in front of our faces are give us more money. Give us more money and we're going to give you nothing in return. That's how it feels. That's how you lose your player base. That's how you lose trust. That's how you lose basically everything. Nobody's going to refer your game to any other players if they stop playing. Like, why would I suggest one of my friends to get the game to play with me if I'm not even playing the game?
But when you design your game so heavily under that path, you have, I think, the number one demographic that you have lost the most. And I bet we can get some comments down below that sound off on exactly this idea, because I'm it as well. I'm part of it. Some of your biggest fans just don't see the original Diablo franchise, the essence of it in this game. I'm not seeing it.
Exactly.
I see it as something moving more toward Diablo Immortal. And man, I miss the original Diablo. Do you guys remember that you were the kings of ARPGs?
Holy shit, yeah.
You guys made Diablo and Diablo 2. You guys made...
That's the thing. They did not. Because the whole team is gone. What's left? Maybe some of them were on Diablo 3. Maybe. I'm not even sure. Everybody else is gone. What we're going to get now is going to be worse and worse if they don't listen to the player base that actually know the franchise and actually know the game. That's the thing.
World of Warcraft. You guys made StarCraft. You guys were gaming royalty. And it's because you made these game-breaking games for gamers, not for people that kind of game but will pop in, buy the game, and buy the battle pass. Not saying that diehard gamers don't buy those things. They do. But it seems like the shift has been a huge marketing push for money. And it seems like...
And that's how I feel about the campfire chats. They just feel like a marketing tool to get the game talked about. That's it. There's no other purpose than that for the campfire chats. No other purpose now.
It's been at the expense of the essence of Diablo 4. And I am not saying these things from hate. They are not empty insults. It's how I actually feel, and I'm making this video because I care. I would love it if we could get back on track. People are gonna roast me so hard, saying the dude is so pathetic. He still believes in Diablo 4. He's still making this content. He's a 40-year-old piece of shit. Like that's
what I said. This guy is probably one of the most advocating defense man for Diablo, and now he's saying exactly the exact same things I said for almost a year now. So it feels so good to hear this from someone else, especially someone who's going to have way more impact than I do. And also, I feel understood now. And like I said, even friends that I got that told me I was crazy and told me I was just like complaining for nothing, they don't even play right now. Like everything is just falling into place. I already knew this. I've been saying this for a year. Everybody's going to fall in the same category. Everybody's going to have the same opinion. It's going to fall. The game is going to fail if they don't do something, and quick.
You know, I know how the internet works. I've been around here for a long time. But I would really, really love it if Diablo 4 in general on a lot of these major things would go in a different direction, would go in... It needs to be a new direction, an inspired direction, but something with the essence about what the Diablo franchise and what the Blizzard of old used to be about. And I think if that happens, I think the morale and the favor of Diablo 4 will go up. So, I don't know. That's it, guys. That's the end of the video. I don't think I'm going to log into Diablo 4 Season 9. I don't really want to play. There's nothing I'm looking forward to playing. I don't want to create this big negative environment where we just roast Diablo 4 as we play it for a day and then quit, and it's my fault.
No, it is not your fault. I felt the same way. I played for maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes, and I just closed. Like I said, no. There's already too many things annoying me right now. Let's go and see the Raxx video because I saw he uploaded it earlier. And I just wanted to know if the feeling I got right off the bat when I just logged in was the same. And he's not even logging in, and he's already having the same opinion as I do. So
cultivate it. So I'm blaming myself, not any of the viewers. It's not their fault. It's 100%
don't blame yourself
on me. So I'm going to go play other games, and I'm going to patiently wait to see. Adam said there's a whole new thing coming. They have big plans and more. Okay. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear what they are. I hope they address some of these things. And if you make a sincere attempt at any of these things, even if it doesn't work out for you, at least in my mind, I'll give you credit for it. Even if I play it and I hate it, but you tried, I'll give you credit for it. Example, the big overpower nerf has a lot to do with this. I give you credit for that. It's got to
bugs. Since we're talking about bugs, before I complete the video, is probably like 1 minute left. Let me go in Diablo 4 really quickly. I just want to see something. All right, let's try the main bug that I reported every single season since almost a year, maybe maybe last October, right? So like 9 months since the last expansion, the cat. Let's see if the cat is still bugged with the mouse and keyboard, right? All right, whatever. It's still bugged. It is still bugged. Okay, let me explain to you what the bug is before you think that I'm just like screaming for nothing. With the keyboard and mouse, specifically with the cat, when you take the cat, the character completely, you saw this, the character, it is minimal. It is not a big issue, but it is still an issue. When you get away with the cat, you saw this, it stopped completely before it starts running, right? If you're using keyboard movement, this is not happening, right? You see it goes and run right away. However, if I am using the mouse, it stops. I reported this every single PTR since the expansion, since they released the cat. It is not fixed. It doesn't do it with the keyboard movement. It doesn't do it with the controller. It is only with the mouse. And mouse and keyboard has been the main way of controlling your characters since Diablo 1. It is the main way of doing it. Anyways, let's get back to the video.
start somewhere. People will cry. The 1 million challenge. That's what I would pose to you. All right, guys. That's it. If you feel like it, let me know what you think about this video. But this was more of a heart-to-heart directly aimed at Blizzard, just trying to really get at the heart of some of these core things that I think are holding Diablo 4 back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great video. I agree with everything he said. So yes, if you actually enjoyed this video, giving him a like, giving him a subscribe. I've been following him for like a while now. He's been streaming every single day for 10 years. That's his goal. He's been always very like forthcoming with people. He's very honest. He's very like genuine. So yeah, I do enjoy his content very much. So go give him a like, guys.